already. Do I even have everything? I still don't know. Someday I'll ever be good at this. Uh, hmm. You know, I'm just gonna start doing till people start responding. Even if nobody appears, you know. Part of what might actually work for this is I can make content that can be viewed later. That'd be nice. That's what I'd like to go for, actually. Okay, I was gonna reposition some stuff. Hmm. Now I'm trying to think. Do I want to try to cheat or not? Because one thing that's nice about digital is you can just trace around maybe parts that you don't like or parts that you want to move. Well, not like that. Just gotta trace around. Trying to figure out where. There we go. So what I might do, I want the I don't want it to be the exact same perspective. I want it to be actually kind of like each person contained in a line. Like that is something I liked about the other picture with regards to composition. It is very well framed. So I do want a similar framing where all of the people can be seen pretty relatively easily and they don't overlap each other too harshly. So I'm trying to resize everyone without completely restarting. I shouldn't have to. Just trying to think how to do it creatively. This is why layers are important. If you ever want to do good digital stuff, you want to actually try to get as many layers as you can. Makes it easier to edit things later on. But you know, it depends on taste. Sorry for none of the. There's no music today, unfortunately. I was looking over the last recording, and unfortunately, there's an issue I've been running into with Twitch in general, where you know, I mean, it makes sense, but copyright, you know, can't be playing music that I don't own. So, but you know, that just means I have to be a little bit more creative. So, hey, half of this channel's being creative, right? I'm a creative guy. I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't, right? So I tell myself, but I'm trying to think. I guess I could just talk about ooh, kind of I wouldn't say general state. I don't think that's a good term for what I want to say. More like the well, things are interesting right now for me. I'm going through a bit of a changing state, but that seems to be something that I've been in a constant state of within the last. Oh, I'll reset both of those guys. What am I doing? I've been kind of in a state of constant, perpetual, existential change for the last, I want to say, 2 years ish. And one of the things I'm going through right now is this will be the first job that I've ever quit. I recently in the last 3 months started working at my school in one of their baristas as a barista, and you know, people joke like artists, he's just gonna be making us coffee, but you know, it's weird for me because I know that mindset, and it's not something necessarily that I disagree with, because I think that's what happens to a lot of people. But I actually kind of do enjoy the work. I don't mind it. I actually really enjoy creating things anyways, so it doesn't bother me to have to make, you know, something like copy for people because I already enjoy making and sharing things with people. It's one of the things that I rather admire about myself. And yes, you can admire things about yourself and not be a total tool. Because I don't think I'm fucking perfect or anything. So, uh, and I don't try to I don't try to act or feel like I somehow am better than other people. So, but no, the job itself, like doing barista work, doesn't bother me. But the unfortunate fact is, this job is not. It's not good for me. It's been treating me horribly. Like don't think I've had a worse job, um, and I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm kind of working through that and understanding how to handle it. So I've been a bit swamped. It makes me reluctant to want to do anything. So, but that's normal. But hey, the way that I look at it is now I'll be able to dedicate more time to this. This is something I care about, anyways. Like, it's something I want to do more of. Uh, I like these streams. I want to see if if they'll catch on in any way. If more people will come and join, um, even if nobody's here, I want to make it a stream that people can come back to and watch at any time, and be able to get something out of it. So, and that's why, sure, nobody's here. Oh well, you know, it's I wanna believe that part of the experience would be hopefully hearing me spout my nonsense. So I say nonsense, it's kind of nonsense sometimes. God damn it, that's not what I want. What I'm doing right now is I'm currently just trying to reposition where I want everything, and then I'm going to start cleaning up the shapes and probably start actually doing some final, like, actual drawing of all the characters. Because one thing, you ever you ever interested in creating anything, you must remember you really can do anything you want. You don't have to do it a certain way. Just because the reference picture I was using has them at that perspective doesn't mean I have to make the picture at that perspective to make it the way I want to. It's kind of that's I mean a general thumb of, I want to say, creativity. It's You don't need to be always 100% original either. You can do things like that and not be, burned at the stake, I guess. Um, it's it all takes a matter of practice and patience, certainly, but it's something that I always try to remind myself, when I'm drawing anything, is don't get lazy. Don't get lazy with your drawing. Lazy drawing. No, you have no right to complain if you are going to be lazy about something and then wonder why it's either not received well or not the way you want it. It's because you're lazy. Uh, and I mean, like, no one's perfect, but like at least be able to recognize that and be like, oh, well, maybe I should have probably put a little bit more effort, or taken the whole like 2 seconds to actually get it to work or look correct, or take the time. That's the thing, is you actually do. You need to give yourself time. You can't just proficiency it might be a matter of trying to become more proficient at something, but I don't think the end goal should ever being faster at something. I don't think you need to be required to do that. You certainly need to be able to not be slow or not waste time, but you need to find a pace where you can accomplish things without while still being able to be productive, but not through the requirement of needing to meet some sort of quota at a certain time point or time rate. Like, that's just too restrictive. You, in both respects, like, one hand you waste your time stressing over something, and on the other you don't dedicate your time to actually getting anything accomplished. So you need to, it's of course a learning experience. I'm sure I'm not saying anything that's not common knowledge, I would hope, but I don't think it's a bad thing to also still talk about, but like just be willing to think about and discuss. And it's everybody learns different things. We're all idiots. We're all dumb at some point in our life. We're all dumb for most of our lives, actually. But it doesn't mean you have to stay anyway. I mean, that's kind of what I'm learning from this new job is even if I enjoy doing the work, even if I enjoy the work itself and don't mind doing it and get something personal out of it, the work that I'm actually tasked with is something that I don't like. So I'm going to change it. That's just the truth. And it has nothing to do with, well, nothing. I say that. I don't. There are plenty of factors that have been like, yeah, this job has kind of fucked me. I don't really. It's not perfect. No job's gonna be perfect, but you still have to learn how to draw a line. Be able to say, no, it's not perfect, but it's also not something you want to deal with. And certainly, as far as I am concerned, as a living, breathing, functioning human being, I certainly don't expect perfection out of anything that I'm going to be experiencing in my job or life. But it is nice to still try to find things that are agreeable. And, well, I have hit my limit with this job. I started this job working part-time as just expecting to be a coffee attendant. I thought I was just going to be serving people coffee. And honestly, to me, that's fun. That's fun to be able to create things for people, be able to share that kind of craft. It's not necessarily something that I want to dedicate the rest of my life to honing, but it is certainly a skill that I enjoy using, and it's a skill that I wouldn't mind at least, fleshing out in my own way as a personal artisan. But after about 3 months of working part-time at this place where they didn't have enough people to start with and needed a supervisor for the actual position or for the actual place that I'm working, what ended up happening is I was asked early on when I first started if I was interested in picking up the full-time position that was available. And unbeknownst to me, what they meant by that was that the shop needed a supervisor. And I was not expecting that. I was not expecting to become that. And that alone is enough for me to say, like, yeah, that's kind of fucked. It's kind of fucked up. It's only been 3 months. Like, I tell people that. It's like, I've only been working there 3 months when I tell them that I've been promoted to a supervisor. And they're like, wow, that's, like, really fast. And it is kind of spiraled into a situation where I don't mind necessarily certain people. I don't mind doing the job, but the amount of time I spend at that job, worrying about that job and stressing about it because of my position, because of the responsibilities I picked up, I've been taken away from things like this, things like my drawing that I do care about. I want to see grow even more and be able to expand on, because like on one hand, I don't think there's anything wrong with just wanting a job that will be able to make you money that you can still enjoy, but isn't one that you it's one that you can do out of just the pure want, I guess, or the pure satisfaction of doing it, but not necessarily one that you need to dedicate a career to. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I believe barista work is one that I can find that in. I mean, like in all, as horrible as this job has been, like in the time that I've spent at it, I've still enjoyed that aspect of it. So it certainly is not a feeling that I cannot do the job, or that I do not feel capable, or up to snuff to be able to do it. So it really does boil down to just I do not feel as a whole like the job has really treated me that well, unfortunately. And that's just kind of the short of it. Like, the job treated me like shit. There's nothing I can do about that other than change that I'm working there. So, and and it's really like weird to say stuff like that, because I still recognize that even at that job, there is still like good people and good things about it. It's just the things I've been asked to do are not things that I want to be dedicating the time to fixing. I want a job that I can go to and have the satisfaction of doing it, but not one that I need to maintain, if that makes sense. Like one that I'm required to be the one who's making sure that everything is functioning, because I can only control what, I provide to it. I'm not there to make sure that the job as a whole for everyone is working well. I can't. It's so much expectation. And I I don't want to put that much personal stock into a place that I only want to be using as a way to develop as a worker, not even as a worker, but just as somebody who works with other people. Like it it's not something that interests me in the grand scheme of things. Also, I'm gonna change something up. So yeah, that's kind of like, if you've noticed lately, and uh, you know what? I don't apologize. I should never apologize for submitting content that is meaningful to me, and the reason why I've been submitting it lately is just that's kind of how I've felt lately. So it's been impacting my shit posts to be a little bit more serious than usual. So if you're wondering why I keep on like fucking posting Don Hertzfeld and really depressing music, I'm going through a hard time. So sorry. It happens. It's a thing that happens to everyone. I think I need to move them up because Emmy's a short motherfucker. But yeah, like, and what I'm finding important with this job that it will help with a lot is just the fact that I'm like understanding better how to at least be a professional in some way of some sort. Be professional at something, be good at something, because uh, one thing, and like working with a lot of college students, because that's who works at this job. They're college students because it's a it's at a college campus, so they're gonna hire more students. Uh, it it is appalling to me how many of them really aren't prepared, like, for the responsibility of their own lives. It is kind of a little disturbing, and it really opens my eyes to how important it is that people need to have some sort of grasp of how to start taking care of themselves and interacting with others, because you can't. One thing that I've had happen to this job multiple times is you can't just not go to work because you don't want to. That's something that happens all the time, and you just can't do that. I know that. You can't just not go to your job because you don't want to. I mean, you can. It's a really shitty thing to do, though, and it's something that does have consequence. And I don't know how many of them realize that. Like, just because this job is, such a. It doesn't matter to them. Like, but now they can't use it. They can't use it as a reference because they don't want to be there. I mean, I for one have made it clear that I don't want to be there, but I still put in the effort to show that I'm not gonna just dick over the whole process because I don't want to be there. Like, that's shitty. That's a really shitty mentality. Like, you don't fix things by not trying to not break them. Like, it is one that's concerning to me, but only because I've had it affect me. Like, one person just calls in sick almost every Friday. I would fire that person. I would. I don't know why she hasn't been, but it's not my concern. I guess I could be like, hey, I'm supervisor. You should fire this person. But I'm also not the kind of person to be able to take that well, honest. Well, not well, but like it's something I would just rather not do, I guess. Mainly because I know, you know, jobs like that suck, or it's hard being like uh, be in that position to say like, how important a job is, but this person is not doing their job well enough, so they should not work here anymore. Like, that's still something I struggle with because I've never quit a job before. The only times I've lost a job are I graduated from college, so I lost all of the college work that I had, and then the only other job I've had, I got laid off. So I've still like I don't I already kind of have a bit of a paranoia of whether or not I'm doing well enough as a functioning, person. But I'm slowly learning that that kind of boils down to the individual, not just, the expectations and the standards. Like, standards are messy. I don't like well, I like them actually. I think standards are important, but a lot of people don't uphold them, which is frustrating. So, or they don't try to. They make excuse for standards. They believe a lot of people recognize standards exist, but then they won't actually follow them for some reason. It's very frustrating, actually, when I think about it, because it's like, you recognize that this is a standard, but you don't follow it because you don't want to, because you make an excuse for yourself. Like, other people are required to follow a standard, but you can make excuses for yourself because, you know, instantly you're a flawed individual. So, yeah, I don't get that mentality. I really don't. But, I can't. That's the I can't do supervisor work because I don't believe I can change people, and I don't mean that in a deprecating way. I mean that actually in a very positive light of I don't have control over other people. Other people can do whatever they want. They can choose whatever they want. They can be as horrible as they want. I have no choice in that matter, as long as I'm treated the same. That's how that boils down to. I think that's, and I can't compromise that to be a better supervisor in a lot of ways. So it's not something I want to do, and it's not something I want to do to other people. Like it feels like such a shitty thing. Like I I want to, I understand, like, it's not easy. It's not something that you can just be like, hey, it it's not something that comes naturally to me anyways, even though I can be such quite a like, headstrong individual. It's I'm a very independent individual is the problem. I don't believe in any way that I am incapable of achieving something as long as I put in enough effort on my own. I'm not required in a lot of senses to I don't not so much avoid asking for help, but don't immediately go looking for help whenever a problem arises, simply out of the feeling that no, I should be able to handle this, not because I'm afraid to ask for help or fucking worried that if somebody finds out about a certain aspect, I won't be able to take responsibility for it. No, it's more like I just want to, if anything, I want to take responsibility for it and fix it, so it's not a problem. So it's never a feeling of, well, I'm incapable. It's more like, if anything, the opposite. It's I'm capable enough, and I'll ask for help if I really need it, or if I feel like it will actually be provided. That's the other problem, is I feel like a lot of situations where I have asked for help or wish I've asked for help, people have treated me like, shouldn't you just be able to handle that yourself? And it's like, it's really frustrating. It's like, that's not an encouraging way to get anyone to do anything. It's not. Uh, and I don't respond to that treatment well. Like, and I don't think anyone would. I don't. That's not a respectful way to treat people, and it's not a way to get people to do what you want. Um, and of course, different people are different, and like, it is a little unfortunate that, like, I want to believe that the one way that I will try, if I am a leader of some sort of project, it is out of people will I will respect and trust people to do their part, and thus I won't have to worry about them. But the flip side is I don't actually know. I don't actually know how to handle when that is not that just is not possible, because you can't control people. You can't. It'll still come up. So now that I've vented that, uh, you know, I'm looking more seriously at self-employment. I want to try to see if I can, because I see so many artists and so many individuals, and am understanding better that the limitations of self-employment and artistry are really just down to the personal. They're not they There is an amount of investment, there is an amount of, like, needing that money and support, but again, that's all almost reductible in a lot of ways. You have to overcome it. You can't just say because you don't have it, it'll never be possible. Like, you have to put in the time and effort. It's just no two ways about it. But that doesn't mean that you can't. Like, I even when I was, like, younger, I was always kind of at least a little skeptical of things like, I'm not saying there aren't, boundaries. There aren't things that make it more difficult. But I never understood why money was such a requirement to the nth degree. Like, it is a requirement, it is an expectation, it's a fucking means to an end. I've always found that thought process kind of silly. I've always been like, no, like you don't need money. Well, you need it in a lot of ways, but you don't need it as long as you're using that money for something. You don't just need it. What are you gonna do with it if you just have it? Like, you can't eat money. So, like, I mean, the American dream is dead. But I don't. I'm not even that cynical. I don't even care. That's just what it boils down to. I don't care, and I don't care anymore if people see this choice. Like another thing is, um, whenever I tell people something like along the line, whenever I try to like explain literally anything that choices I made or the experiences I had, I get the impression that a lot of people are like, oh, he's fishing for sympathy, and sometimes people, embrace that. Like they're like, so they try to like be like, oh, well, this is what you need to help. And what I've discovered on my own is no, that's not it. It's it's not about sympathy anymore. It's just the life experiences I've had. It's being able to tell someone, hey, this is what I have gone through and seen, and this is what I learned from those experiences. And I'm learning that a lot of people, especially college students, like I tell college students, say, I'm a graduate of geology. First question everyone always asks is, what do you want to do with that? It's such a foreign thought, or not even foreign. It's just a very, at this point, like, it's such a thought that doesn't concern me anymore. That I'm becoming more and more reluctant to talk about it, in the sense of like, or the response that I start to give now is just whatever I want. I've done it. I've done that. That's what I achieved. I don't. Education is not just a means to an end. It should be something that you should be able to say, no, I did this. I did this for no reason. It could be said in a lot of ways. And, I'm sure I'd get funny fucking looks. Like, so you just went to college? Yeah, I went to college and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about things I would have never been able to learn if I hadn't gone to college. I wouldn't have learned, and I wouldn't have experienced things that I would never have if I hadn't gone to college. And I don't just mean the college experience. I mean, like, my degree allowed me to experience things I would never have done if I hadn't gone through that degree. And I value that. And it's very strange that a lot of people only see degrees as a means to end. Like, they're just there for the piece of paper at the end that's going to hopefully get them a job. And spoilers, you don't just get a piece of paper and get a job. There is much more effort that goes into it. Just getting any job. It blows my mind. Anybody who's gotten a job before, even when they're young, that it is a job they don't want, should know that getting even low-paying jobs is not easy. It's not something that you can just, well, it is something that you can just do, but it's like, it takes an amount of effort. So to believe that getting a piece of paper will thus ensure you employment in any way is fucking ludicrous. You have to build that reputation. It's not just going to be given to you just because you got a piece of paper. So, and actually, Arthur and I were discussing the other day, like, I have a very positive view of education. I actually do. I think education is important, but I look at it from the perspective of education is not something that you just get done. You don't go to school just to get out of school. You go to school to discover something, to start to learn about something, to build an understanding of something, and to manifest a better belief in something, I guess. And it should be a place that you go to and learn something about something that you didn't know before, or something that you found intriguing and wanted to look more into to gain a better understanding. Because part of of learning something is finding out how you maybe understand any particular concept and how you can actually provide to it, to furthering it. And that's the thing, is there's no glory in that. There's no prize. It should be something that you yourself grew. It's not something that you get something from. It is an achievement of your own, not a thing that you just got. And it has to be something that you maintain. It has to be something that you can't just get it once and say you're done. One thing that I left that conversation with, left or mentioned at some point, I don't remember. If anything, I think I actually opened a large part of that conversation with was education is a responsibility. It's not just a thing that you do. It's do once and then get out of the way. It's something you need to keep up with. It's something that you as an individual have to take personal stock in to keep maintained. You can't just get it done once. And education applies to everything. It applies to anything. Any job that I'm going to do, I'm going to consider. Oof, man, Freud's really getting into this conversation with me now, isn't he? I'm going to consider it a form of education, because it's going to be an understanding of the environment that I'm working in, or a skill of some sort. And that's important, I think, to developing a well-rounded, well-adjusted individual person in general. Like, it's part of what allows you to be able to make more sound judgments. It's what gives you experience to say, no, I can handle this because I took the time to learn. And you teach yourself, or you find ways to gain that knowledge. And you always not understand something at first. Like, I didn't go to school for culinary and went as a cook based on the very marginal knowledge that I knew, and it was not horrible. It was extremely difficult. It's not something that is necessarily easily picked up on. But even though I failed and was let go, I still use things I learned from that job in my own life. I use the cooking, I use the experience, I use the tactics of managing cooking staff to help with my future employment, with my own personal living. It's for starters, it's given me just better food. I can now control my own food. And I didn't go to school. I didn't go to school for that. I just did it and taught myself. And people need to understand that they do have control. No matter what your personality is, no matter how expressive or how shy you are, you still can control your own environment. You can achieve something on your own. And that, I think, is it it's something that I don't see very often. I don't see, or rather, I don't see people like believing that they can do stuff like that. In my experience, they believe that they are confined by the man and the expectations of that. Like it, it, it really is very freeing to me to be able to think like that. It leaves me open to possibilities, and it means I'm not. It means I can do whatever I want, and I will be held responsible, but that's fine because I got to do whatever I want, and it wasn't out of malice. It wasn't a ha fuck you. I do whatever I want. You can't tell me what to do. It's more of a no. I'm the self-made man. Ooh, ooh, ooh. But yeah, like I'm not restricted by that anymore. It's so satisfying in a lot of ways. And like that's why I'm like, no, I've already started to once I start getting back on track and being able to focus on my drawing, I want to do these drawing streams more because I think they help me practice, definitely. They help me practice and draw other things that aren't serious that I need to be working on. Um, like that is always going to be the mark of these streams. They are not going to be drawing things that I want to be dedicated to something serious. They're always going to be practice or just doing something else, just for general enjoyment of people. I don't know. But they're ideas and projects I want to work on that I want to get started on to actually start building a real ethic of how do I get to create things, because I don't know. I posted it to Facebook recently, to the page. If you've seen it, either there or separately, called Shelter, and that was made in like the last. That was made in the last week, and for a long time, I was the cynic who believed that art was dead, and it will never get good again. But you don't need to make something big, I don't think, to be able to make something good. Or you don't need to dedicate your entire life to one single project that'll be your, like, I mean, I guess kind of, that is the statement of the magnum opus, but, and I have my own version of that, don't you worry. I know exactly what it's going to be. Uh, I keep on claiming that it'll be my take on Evangelion, but that's just because I want a giant robot shoot-in game with a heavy plot. That's all. I will actually try to be creative with it. But, like, I need to start making things. I need to show that I can make things. And I need to show that I am not going... that I enjoy making things. And I do. And for starters, you know, Sean and I are working on that game. And the next thing I want to work on is I'm going to talk to James. If you're watching, James, spoilers, I'm going to talk to you. If he wants to try to do a little animation work, if he wants to try to work on an animation, and a serious animation. I mean, like, well, a serious animation of something else that bothers me, but a serious animation nonetheless. Like, it's going to be at least have some production value to it. It's not just I'm experimenting with animation. No, like I want to provide more of my own effort into projects. So that's something I want to do. And like the next big thing I want to look at is like to develop also just because one thing, and Yahtzee actually mentioned this in one of his videos, is you start off a lot of times when it comes to art, or creating anything, you start off looking at things that you like or drawing things that you like. Case in point, you start off working in a headspace or in a concept that you enjoy. You just can't stay there. Like everybody writes fan fiction at some point if they're a writer. Everybody draws their favorite characters. Everybody does that. But to actually be a creative individual means you are using that time to understand how to create something, so that way you can finally make your own unique thing. But it doesn't mean that those things can't also be bad or finished products. It just means they're not fully yours 100%. They're inspired. And that's fine. I don't want to get paid for inspired work. I get that. Or rather, I want the work to be, if it's inspired, still stand on its own as a reference, not a reference, a furthering of a medium, not a this has been done, so I did it my way. Like, I mean, I feel like I've had that mindset for a long time, but now I'm starting to realize that no, yeah, it's okay to think that way a little bit, but you need to branch out. You can't just continually believe if I want to make something that's going to stand the test of time, it might use things, it might share similarities to other things that I've found profound, but they don't just straight up rip. It's not about taking from Evangelion. It's about using what I got out of that to try to investigate my own way of portraying those similar ideas. And even if the ideas are very related or clearly referential, it's still going to be, my version. It's not Evangelion the video game. It is mine. So, and I understand that. I feel like that's novel in a lot of ways. Wow, that happened. I wasn't even paying attention. I was just chatting, and the next thing I knew, Rin has nice boobs. That don't worry about that. But no, the project I want to investigate next is actually reanimating a scene that really frustrates me from something. I have a little joke that I keep using in front of my friends that animation is difficult, it's hard, it takes a lot of work, it's just hard, you can't do it. And there's a scene from Gunslinger Girl 2 that really just, it was what made me had to, for somebody who loves the first season, it was the thing that right now prevents me from watching that season, even though I'm reassured that the season is still worth watching, even though the animation just isn't as good. Someday I will. Sorry, Arthur. I will do it. I really can't handle it. And what happens is there's a fight scene, and I'm very much a visual critic. I am my I would say trade is I understand the importance of writing, but I am very much more attuned to the visual and staging and framing of the scene to convey an idea or something, as opposed to just the plain writing. And even if the writing is great, that focus on the visual detail will instantly take me out of an experience if it's not handled very well. And unfortunately, overall, my understanding of Gunslinger Girl 2 is great writing, and I agree, as far as I got, it had really good writing, but just horrible screen communication, between the visual design and animation and the screenwriters and the scripters. It just is. It was a giant miscommunication, and it just lacks a lot of polish to the point of just making it very difficult for me, who watched Gunslinger Girl 1 and adores the use of the visual aesthetic and screenplay and cinematography and animation in that. Like, it's good. It's really good, and the level of writing is... I still think it's the same. I don't think it's worse. I've been told that second season is arguably better, but I love first season's writing, so poop on me. But there's one fight scene in particular, very early on, between a character named Pinocchio and Triella. And there's just so much weight lacking in that fight scene that I want to make a challenge for myself as an artist who is looking more and more into developing as an animator in a lot of ways, but as an artistic animator. Like, a lot of animation is not really illustration. It's more of an understanding of how to make something that is drawn simple enough that you can animate it, but doesn't look plain or boring. Like, that is a challenge of animation. It's a part of animation that I really enjoy. I've always enjoyed doing animation, actually, since I was a child. I used to do it all the time. I never really thought about it seriously until recently as an artist. And I want to use that as a thought experiment, as a personal challenge, and as a learning experience to try to animate a full scene the way that I want to see it done. And the issue I have with that scene is it really does a poor job of actually conveying the situation. There are just moments in it where things happen that they just shouldn't. They shouldn't. Like, nothing takes me out of an experience more than an established character having something happen to them, but not because of fault of their own or because of anything that makes any reasonable sense. It's just there for the sake of forced tension. That's bad. That's bad screenwriting. It's bad animation. And there's several parts in there where, like, in the fight, for context, Triella is supposed to be physically more capable than her opponent, but her opponent is actually more well-trained and more experienced as a fighter, even though they're both extremely experienced fighters, but doesn't have the actual physical capacity that she does. And there's a lot of forced tension where parts of it are not. They have Triella making these extremely like open mistakes, when my understanding of the character is she's not an incapable fighter either. She's not stupid. She might be cocky because of her own physical capacity, but it doesn't make her not skilled as an assassin. Like, if anything, she's the veteran of the group. She would actually be able to handle herself. It's the person she is fighting is actually equally at capacity and skill. And equally at capacity, or even better. And it just doesn't sit well with me, and I want to try to analyze that fight scene and try to see if I can make it better in a lot of ways. And I think one of the big parts of making a good fight scene is not longevity. It is actually understanding how to make a fight scene just long enough. You know, because part of what makes it so insufferable is there are just scenes where nothing is happening, and it's just maybe Triella falling backwards slowly to try to create emphasis, instead of actually any movement or action happening. And sure, that's like a technique, but that technique can't be relied on. That technique is usually a choice of lacking in not creativity, but it's either one hand lazy or second hand just not having the capability of making higher quality animation, which is unfortunate, but it 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 really is something that can just completely take me out of an experience. So, and sorry, it's it it is that kind of attention to detail that I have that I want to go, no, I want to try to draw up the keyframes and make an animation that maybe isn't even necessarily the same time slot, but does make a proper action scene that really emphasizes how quick and punchy and agile both of the combatants are, and just the sheer difference in how they handle the situation from each side. Because one thing that I would think would be important for that interaction is the difference in physique, the difference in physical capacity, and one side recognizing that the other side is extremely, physically more capable of the fight than they are, which is that is an interaction of combat. That is, something that I would think would naturally happen and needs to be conveyed in action. It's not something you can write in. It's not something you can have the individuals talk about in the middle of the fight necessarily. I mean, you can in ways, it does work, but this is not the situation where that would be appropriate. So, or maybe, who knows? Maybe they have a little snide little quip at each other while they're punching the shit out of each other. But like, hey, you're pretty good. I don't think, honestly, though, neither of the characters strike me as people that would do something like that because they take their job so seriously. So I don't think that would be an interaction that would happen. But the way I would see it, because I do need to watch the scene eventually to actually know how it resolves. I couldn't make it through the scene. I don't know what happened. I don't even know if Pinocchio survives. I assume he does, but maybe not. Who knows? Trailer might kill him. I don't know. I never made it to the scene. But it should be an animation with a focus on how do you communicate. How do you communicate understanding in a high tension situation without conveying it through words, or even through strong body language that can be very noticeable. If anything, it's quite the opposite. It's through body language that is subtle, through observation. Because one thing that makes the difference between physique and skill is one combatant is able to recognize that difference in strength and figure out how to tackle it while being in the situation. That's the thing, is he's not having forethought here. He is in a dangerous situation and is having to figure out how to deal with it without getting killed at the same time. But that's an aspect of the character that's pretty well established early on that he handles extremely well. And then is just, shat upon by fucking mountains of plot convenience and action. It's bad. I hate it. It's so bad. It's just lazy to me. I don't care. But yeah, like, that is something I want to look into. It's something I want to try as a challenge, and just do things like that, like different animations. Like, a lot of people start with cartoons. I mean, I did cartoons for a little bit of my own. They weren't like super animated cartoons or anything. They were just my own attempts at making anything. Want to know how I start animation? PowerPoint. Like, seriously, I kind of want to stream you one of my goofy ass PowerPoints when I was back in fucking high school. Like, I used to love making those, and it's the same principles, honestly. It's the same concepts of animation. It's just a different program that sucks. You don't use that. You don't use that for professional animation. I know that. Um, no, I lied. This isn't Photoshop. You can't tell in the screen. I'm actually making this in PowerPoint. I make all my videos in PowerPoint. Uh, but like used to, I still do. I love doing animation and thinking about things like that. And uh, there is a part of me that wants to try to take it more seriously and see if I can do something that, sure, it's ambitious, but that's part of it. It's an ambitious learning experience. I don't think anything's going to come out of it. I don't think I'm even going to necessarily finish it. But the goal is can I finish it? Can I even do it? And with every project that I've started like that I haven't finished, I've gotten closer to making something that's finished. A lot of my 3D models, I got really close with one of them. And the only reason why I stopped was time constraint, honestly, and wanting to do other things that I think I would be more able to complete sooner. But, it's never too late to start anything. And I'm at the right time to be able to literally start anything. Like, I do have the time, the capability, and hopefully the drive to be able to accomplish more with that stuff. So, and you guys will never get you guys will never stop getting my shit posts anyways, so don't worry about that. Unky Link ain't going nowheres. Go back to bed. He needs to go finish his whiskey. I do have some whiskey, but I always feel that if I'm gonna drink anything while I'm drawing, I should drink some lovely chai, tea, or coffee. Not alcohol. Though I might go get a beer. Or I might do nothing at all. But yeah, I enjoy, and that's kind of the thing, is like I don't expect other people to be like that, I guess, as strongly driven as I am about literally anything. It just kind of boils down to really what is something that you just do, and you just like it doesn't even have to be the thing that you do better than anything else. It's just the thing that for whatever reason you're like, man, this thing is, I like it. I like doing it. I want to see it done more my way, and not in a facetious way, like because my way is right, but because it's just the way that I see it, the way that I want to share it. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think. There's nothing wrong with wanting to try to express yourself. That's something that I've struggled with a long time. Is like, and I'm recognizing this, and I might make a piece on this, like with Shelter. Personal expression is hard. It's really hard, especially as an artist. Well, actually, probably not, especially as somebody who might not be into art. But like, Shelter, if you haven't seen it, the first, I want to say, 4 minutes of that video is like the perfect representation of what it's like to create anything. It really is. Like, down to the point that the image she's actually drawing is not necessarily a fucking fantastic Mona Lisa piece of work. It's just a doodle. That's how creation is. It's something. It's a perspective. It's a glass case that you're in, that you look out and see and try to actually make it, or try to form it. It is the ability to form the world however you like and please, and it's not biased in any way. It's your perspective. But the honest truth is, no one will be able to. Everybody has that glass box, or will only be able to look in and see what they see. There's no way to make something that is perfectly communicable, that will perfectly give off an idea. That's why I almost am a bit. I like discussions of art and stuff, but the ones that annoy me the most are the ones that are trying to objectively say what any piece does. Like, art has themes, but I always hate those statements of like, and then this, you really see the theme of like this idea, and this idea, and it's like, yeah, you're not wrong necessarily, and you might not even be saying something that isn't identifiable by everyone, but it isn't what makes the piece profound necessarily, or it might be what makes the piece profound. Ugh. It isn't what you should be focusing on, though, or at least not in my opinion. I don't want people to be like, well, I don't like politics in my art. That's a big part of it. I think political art is stupid. I really do. It's such a cop out to me. It's like you're not playing to any emotions that you developed through your art. You're just utilizing concepts that other people might be able to grasp, but aren't actually developed in any way to be profound. They're just the way things are. And it's even more annoying when that kind of mindset is utilized on things that do express that kind of actual creativity, and like it's less about what is being said and more about just the fact that that substance exists. Like, something isn't good because it says something. It's good. It's not good because of what the content is. It's good because that content exists. That's what's always important to me. It's not good because it made this statement. It's good just because it made this statement. It's good because the development of that statement is a reflection of some sort upon the artist and the viewer. It's not just because those themes exist. It's because somebody took the time to make those themes realized in a way that they are identifiable. So, wow. I'm getting better at this. Or worse. Who knows? Nobody's appeared as far as I know. Maybe people are watching. I don't actually know. I've been doing this for a while. I started, at 1-ish? So, by the way, is it actually making any noise, or is it just my voice? Because I don't want to be like doing this and then find out later, oh, it played music anyways, though I'm pretty sure I have just my mic unmuted. So it would be embarrassing if it was just like, oh, the mic wasn't even playing. Here, let me make a test. We might have some feedback here for a second. I need to listen. Ooh, I'm really quiet. Okay, it's working. We're gonna get a little feedback here for a second. I had to make that test. Nobody say anything. I don't know. I don't care. I just wanted to make sure. By the way, it's not so much that I'm not playing music. It's also, I didn't realize it was so quiet, by the way. Sorry. So now you're deaf. Yes, good content. Hopefully I'll be getting a new mic, by the way. I'm gonna try to, something I'm gonna invest in. A mic. Better recording equipment in general. Maybe. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'll have the ability to actually make good content one day. One day. But yeah, like, and I wouldn't keep doing this if I didn't think I couldn't. Like, that's you can do anything if you put your mind and are willing to put the effort. Like, nothing in life is earned, or nothing in life is given, and nothing in life is just earned. It has to be kind of maintained. So, like, you can't just do something once and then have it done. No, you got to keep up with it. You got to it's a honing. If I was just like, I'm gonna stop drawing, and then fucking 12 years later was like, I'm gonna start drawing again, I would not be good. I would not be good at art. Uh, like, it it is partly talent. I mean, I've always been told since I was young that, I could draw well, but I never really thought that I was very talented to begin with. I never thought that I thought that maybe I could do something that other people couldn't, but I never thought that I could do it well enough. So, but talent only takes you so far. You have to be willing to turn that into something much more raw or profound. So, by the way, there is music. You just can't hear it, unfortunately, because I don't want to get fucking muted and banned by Twitch for streaming music, which is unfortunate. This is still an argument and kind of a mindset that I have personally, but I kind of understand, because on the flip side, I'm like, well, I am an artist. I need to start supporting people. But, like, it is really... I want to share. I want to share, like, things that I've seen, but I'm not trying to make money off of it. I'm not trying to... If anything, it's for the publicity, but... I want to be able to share things, but not... It's expensive, man. I want to be able to experience things, and I don't know. I don't think art is very good when it's in the pursuit of money. It just never is for me, and it's because it brings up an expectation that you need to be able to make something that'll make you money, which, fuck, man, I don't care that much, because making money is not, oh, this is the life, man. But, like, it limits things. It's restrictive, Like, sure, not everything can be successful, but something being successful doesn't mean you're doing the right thing, other than being able to make something that can make you a lot of money, I guess. Like, it doesn't mean that you're making anything better. It just means you're making something that makes money, and that's fine and dandy. But I don't know, I've never seen expansion in anything in the pursuit of money, like the pursuit of commerce, other than commerce itself. So, who knows? Maybe I'm just cynical because I don't make enough money, but I don't know. I don't see the pursuit of money as something I deem important. I don't put stock in it. I'm crazy. Don't get the IRS on my ass, maybe. It's how I feel, man. Don't trust the government. But she only has 3 fingers for some reason. I'm trying to figure out how to fix that, by the way. Drawing's easy, guys. Drawing's easy. This is a fun time. She only has 4 fingers for some reason on both hands. I just noticed that. What the fuck? What the heck? That's not how human hands work. still might have to work on that a little bit, but I might need to look at his hands, see how... Hands are hard. Hands are really weird. They're really weird. No wonder why I don't like drawing them. uh, everything's a armless joke to me. I mean, with anything, another big part of drawing is like understanding what you need to know to get something to work the way you want it to. Because like mediums have their own unique aesthetic, but a lot of them work in similar ways, I guess. They sorry, I'm posting making noises, being noises in the Twitch feed. Oi, oi. That's really funny, but if you want to be able to make something, you should figure out the way that you do it. I'm not saying you should go in without any guidance. Try to find that guidance. That's also something frustrating, is like, it's so strange that people don't try to get literally good at anything. They don't try to advance themselves. I don't understand why. It's like, don't you want to find a way to make your life easier? Don't you? And it is, like, a lot of people are like, no, man, just do what I'm told. Okay. I mean, I guess if that works for you, but it doesn't fucking work for me. I can't. I have to find my own way to accomplish something, just out of pure to be able to understand it. So, yeah, like, I certainly don't believe that well, now I'm kind of rambling. I've lost track of what I was trying to go with that statement, so I'm going to just be like, it's sabotage. And then we never talked about it again. But Fuzzy's distracting me. One second. But yeah, I will say one thing that I do get out of these streams is one, I'm getting better at commentary. I feel like, so I can actually like talk about stuff and shit. And you know, a lot of Twitch streams I feel like are designed like that is something I went into initially, like, yeah, I'll be able to interact with people, but honestly, I understand, like, I don't have the viewer base for that. It's just unfortunate. So on the flip side, I'm going in with the intent of making things that people can go back to and watch. I want you to come back and watch these. I'll probably come back and watch these, see how I changed, see what I fucked up, see what I said stupid, see what I said smart. Reflection is an important part of life. People who don't reflect, again, I feel like a fucking record of all the things I don't understand. People who don't reflect on their lives. It's like, how do you can't improve your life if you don't ever try to think about what you did wrong. Believe you me, you ain't perfect. I ain't. If you're wondering why I'm putting this much effort in, I don't know, who knows, maybe I'm just trying to pad for time, but, you know, the earliest sketch you can make that is, the earliest sketch that you can make that is, like, the most, detailed that you can make it, the better your later work will be, because it'll give you better things to reference. Because this will just kind of devolve into tracing in a lot of ways. And it'll be, you already know how to do that area now, so you'll just be able to do it faster. Fuzzy wants to know how I draw shadows. I'll explain that. Here, I'll let her know. And I'll make a highlight of this. So, Fuzzy wants to know how shadows are done. And the quickest way to explain how shadows and lighting work is practice and understanding how light flows around an object or through an object. The best way to start this is, say, to start with some basic shapes. Let's go with a circle, or a sphere, to be more specific. 3D drawing is, well, it takes practice, but we'll start with a circle or a sphere. And I was very lazy with that. Here, we'll fix it. We'll start with a sphere. The thing about a sphere, or any sort of lighting with illustration, is lines aren't perfect. They aren't things that exist all the time. You want a certain amount of I want to say, you want to be able to guide the viewer into where you want to go. Is a great way that I've had that told to me. And you don't need to point out every single line, every single adjustment that happens. You don't need to illustrate, essentially, every single point that the eye will follow, because eventually, eventually the mind makes up for those things, and it also translates it into information for you. Like, when you don't see where something is supposed to be, you don't suddenly think, oh, that thing no longer exists. The reason why is, how is it handled in the image? Usually when a line is not there, it just simply means that the light is so bright that you can't see the separation between the object in front and the object behind. That is just trying to wrap your mind, essentially, around how light hits an object. When light hits an object, it hits it in a sheen. It hits it all at once. And anything behind it, it can't reach, essentially, is the basic idea. So if you have light hitting a sphere from this direction, you're going to have some sort of like white area, some sort of space where you don't have light, and then it will hit here and then won't be able to actually reflect on this side, which is where you get your shadow. And this is just the start. The important part of understanding light is understanding how it bends around an object. Light isn't perfect. And to make good shadows is a combination of adding and removing lightness and darkness. It's not just one or the other. You don't just shade a part and then call it good. You might start building the form of something, but then you'll take away to kind of give that form that it isn't just a flat object, because all that this does is make something flat. This just is a flat box. Like that's just a flat circle. And shadows and light bend and move around an object. They aren't just, and it boils down to knowing how to control a lot of that, and like knowing how to add. And it just takes time. Like, this will be the darkest side, so this is where the line that separates the back of the orb will be darkest, and on front it won't be as dark. You might still have a line there to be able to distinguish, but it's not going to be there. And it's about building and sculpting in a lot of ways. It's sculpting on a flat plane. It's because when you have clay, you can mold that clay, you can move it around, you can feel it, and that kind of makes sense. Like you can make that form, but with drawing, because it's a flat plane, you have to be able to kind of conceptualize better. What and where the form goes. And it definitely takes a lot of practice. And I certainly, just judging on this, I'm not good at making perfect circles. I feel like that's actually something I've always that has made me better at other things, is the fact that I'm not very good at making very perfect circles. I make very weird shapes. I'm very good at making weird shapes, but in a way that isn't unpleasant to look at, I guess. They're shapes that are natural. They have an amount of flow to them. And right now I'm trying to make a perfect sphere, but I'm not perfect, so But from there, and a part of it is being able to move around the different aspects of light and dark. Like you have to sometimes just add some stuff to even be able to start manipulating it, even if it's not correct. Like being able to get that start of what different aspects are. I'm kind of rushing a little bit, but I'll slow down. You can always take your time, fix something. But yeah, like a sphere like this, it's just it is kind of slowly adding. And sure, I could have made this bigger and just been like and that also helps too, like knowing how to blend things together or add more or take more away. That can make a big difference in I find for me the way that I handle shading is more in a painterly way. I don't illustrate. I used to be a very strong illustrator, like in the sense of a traditional one, where I try to use lines mainly to convey information, but I've kind of gotten away from that, like not because it's bad, but because I like being able to have that kind of sense of control. And like while etching and like fine detail is still important to me, I have a very painterly sensibility when it comes to like adding and removing light and adding and removing pigment. Like it's just kind of how I think about things. Go ahead and lower the opacity of that a little bit more. But yeah, it's just like, and like, that's what I was saying. I've mentioned this before. Erasers are actually an extremely, extremely important tool. They are not about correcting mistakes. They're actually about, they play a very big part of controlling where light goes. And for me, shading and shadows, I've always liked that kind of almost cell shady, like definition of yes, am. Oh, that works. But it it's being able to like stylize a lot of the shading to have a little bit more personality to it. And it's it is a little frustrating because I know you wanted like an explanation, and I'm like, I don't know how. I just do it. Uh, but like it stems from a personal philosophy of, you just gotta find your way to accomplish it. Um, that takes a lot of practice. That all just comes from practice. Well, yeah, it was the same drawing. I never finished it, so. But yeah, like what I try to do when I shade is I just try to add like little bits at a time, if anything, while I'm drawing something to it, to kind of just give it more of that shape and form. And like it is kind of like influenced by, I'll say it, an anime aesthetic, but like the way that they handle shading I find really interesting because it is one that works better for animation. It does. Because it gives you a more solid ground, I guess. It's not because when you add more detail to an image, it's harder to it's harder to animate it because you have to keep all of those details consistently moving. That's really hard to do. Um, so things like midtones and stuff are really easy to lose. But if you just have very well defined palettes of light and dark, you can control those midtones better and are able to keep them more consistent in an animation style. So also, thank you, Fuzzy. I do what I can. I'm glad. I usually think I speak nonsense most of the time. But yeah, it. Ooh boy! I just zoomed out the chat. Oh, spooky! Like, that kind of came out like an interesting little globe thing. Hey, but being noises. That was just my phone. Don't worry about it. Another person is streaming. Um, yeah, like it it is kind of all about consistency in a lot of ways, and like just this is kind of like that painterly aspect of like just adding a little bit more darkness at a time to try to get it to be smoothed out. Like it has to be consistent. Like you can't just randomly have parts of it be lighter or darker. It's all about being able to control where the light is going. So there you go. Kind of like that. No, it's probably my phone. I have the audio turned off at the moment. I'm technically listening to music right now, but unfortunately, because the copyright, I can't share music because it'll mute my streams, and I don't want to do that because part of it is the commentary. I want to keep the part of it is my shitty commentary. So, but no, like I enjoy doing this and like discussing these things. So I don't want to remove that. I don't want to risk having that removed just because I want to play bad music in the background, or not bad music, but not always good music. I feel like my taste can vary sometimes. It's just my taste, but I know it's not perfect. So that probably was my phone. It makes loud bing noises whenever I have something important happen in my life. Another thing that also kind of influences my shading and art style is the use of pastels. I really like pastels. They're probably my favorite personal medium, like especially physical medium. And a large part of pastel work is really strong pigments that you can easily overlap. And it it's about that consistency of color, I guess, that helps a lot. So there you go. Just kind of clean that up a little. Give it a little. An afterglow is always important because one thing that, when you lift up your hand and like look at it against light, and if you look where light is coming from any given source, you can see where it's lit up from that side. But if you look at the back of it, there's a slight illumination, and that's just from light kind of wrapping around the object and illuminating it from behind if it's a smooth object. So it's, yeah, it's, yeah, they do actually. The last stream I did, it said parts of your stream will be muted because parts of it are copyrighted. And I was just like, that's stupid. Oh, it's so stupid. Because like I like the music streams. I like doing that, which they might just not be a thing that I save anymore. Like I won't have unless it's like specifically a drawing music stream or something. I don't know, where you get to at least see the piece that I'm drawing. But like it's like, man, I like doing those, but I really can't because Twitch doesn't want me to. Twitch thinks I'm stealing. Probably spent far too much time on this, but eh. And a lot of it is also about like the stroke. And I understand that, so I probably should be using the undo button a little bit more here, but I also feel like a part of proper form building is being able to correct your mistakes, so through like manual manipulation, not just undoing your mistakes. Something like that. Now I'm gonna erase it. Fun fact, Art, you're never required to save literally anything. But yeah, like, to kind of bring it over to here, for shading like this, it's just, kind of like, it is a lot like sculpting. It's understanding where parts go in and out, and like being able to see the minute imperfections in the parts that I've drawn to be able to correct them. Oh, now I'm getting hungry. Ooh. You know, as long as I don't get copy infringement for drawing cute girls doing meme things, that's all that matters to me. And I feel like I'm handling this much better than I did the first time. When I first drew the last stream I did, I like looked at it and was like, man, I suck at drawing. Ugh. It's such I am really my worst critic, but like really it's like, ugh, everything is gross. Everything is wrong with this. I need to fix it. I'm like, yeah, it's looking much better this time. And another thing about shading is like knowing like not everything is just one, or how shadows change depending on color. Like this isn't all going to be, you know, bright blue or anything, but like by all means. But like a white thing will have a different will have shadows affected differently than a dark thing. Like, and they're all wearing white shirts, so like overall this should generally be a whiter tone than the black. It's a black necktie that she's wearing, so yeah, it's just it's knowing, and that knowledge doesn't like that knowledge is definitely not something that you just like you just gotta go do it. Well, I mean, kind of, but it's something you have to discover on your own. When I finally learned and really understood, like, oh, that's how I make it look like that. That's how I was able to just be like, oh, I want a shadow here. Just be a wizard and do it in 5 seconds. Because like drawing especially is not fast. It's not a fast craft. I mean, by no means of the. It is something that takes a large amount of time. You can't, no matter how good or proficient you are, you certainly can cut down on a lot of time, but you can never draw something quickly. It's not possible, or at least I don't think it is in the sense of, you know, in the long run, if you want a high quality thing, you're going to take a lot of time with it. This is a high quality meme, man. I only do high quality memes. No low quality memes. That's why it's got everyone's favorite. It's got all my favorite things in it. It's got cute girls. It's got Rin. It's got memes. I'm a happy man. It's just like in grade school. You just gotta draw inside the lines. You just gotta color inside the lines. Let's see. How do I want these eyes? Look at these eyes. Look with your special eyes. I think from here on in with this image, I'm just gonna dedicate probably, what's going to be a large amount of time on any given part of it. Like just have a day where I focus on Shizune or Rin or literally anyone else in this picture. Lily still hasn't even made it into the picture. Maybe I should do that. Nah, nobody cares about Lily. She'll be in this picture, she will, but nobody cares about Lily. I don't fucking care about Lily. Lily's a loaf of bread. That's how I feel about blind people, too. Am I on a watch list yet? I've been talking about philosophy too much. I've been talking about serious things too much. I need to remember that I'm a deplorable degenerate of the internet. I'm drawing. Look what I'm drawing. Don't ever think otherwise. Don't let Uncle Isaac ever... don't listen to Uncle Isaac's lies. Don't listen to Ondor's lies. And one of the biggest things, like, I like that you said that, Fuzzy, because, like, that is something I understand, 800%. I struggled with trying to stay committed to literally anything for the longest time. I am sure I'm a patient individual, and I've always kind of been, but I've also been impatient in a lot of ways. And one of the biggest things I always struggle with is dedicating myself to actually kind of finish things. And something that I want to get better at, definitely, is being able to feel like I am finishing something. Like, I want to get better at feeling like, I'm not wasting my time, I guess. Because I used to be really bad about starting something and then just being like, I'll draw something else, or I'm gonna draw something else. Like I didn't even finish it, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to finish my video game. I'm going to start more projects with the intent of seeing some sort of finished product. So hopefully, like this meme so I'm going to be streaming hopefully every single week, working on this project. You missed almost the entire conversation, possibly, Fuzzy. You might be entering in the middle of something. Who knows? Trying to figure out. I'm actually pretty good with eyes, especially this kind of eye. Just takes some finicking. Nah, it's too much angry. Too much angry eyebrow. And that's a big part of to human drawing is knowing how how to make expressions. One of the things that I've always enjoyed doing and experimenting with is how to get different expressions to happen. Like, how do you make someone look surprised? How do you make somebody look happy, sad, afraid? One of my favorites personally is like, how do you make somebody look apathetic? I feel like there's nothing that is a more like, I wouldn't say expressive, but a just like purely there's just something about the lack of reaction, like that kind of personality that I personally like. Whenever that has been like plain faces. Plain faces are just, or calm faces, I guess. Even there's just something really appealing to me about that kind of just poker face that I like. I mean, I feel like I also do it a lot. I have a, I don't have, I'm not necessarily unexpressive. I just have a very, the way that it has been described to me is I do have a very like calm expression. I don't really, I mean, I exude energy, but I don't really like, at any given moment, especially when my face is at rest, I'm not like animated necessarily. I usually am not very animated facially either. Animated facial. But I just have a very generally like plain mannerism to my attitude. So of course I'm finishing Rin first, by the way. Who else would I want to focus on more? Son of a bitch. uh, but yeah, give me a sec. I'm collecting my thoughts. It's something that I have to do every now and then. Like, be like, what was I? Did I actually finish a thought? I don't think I did. Oh well. I mean, that's why I'm like, I might. I feel like I've mentioned this before several times in at least recordings or whatnot. I don't think I've mentioned it. I might have mentioned it on stream at least a couple times. But like, there's something about, especially like Japanese representation of artists that I really, really seem to appreciate, I guess. Mainly because it's just like, man, they get it. Artists, artists are, we're very weird people, but we're still people. We're a very special kind of person, but we're still people. We're something that is a bit of an anomaly because we don't really think, act, or behave like normalish human beings, but because of that, it makes us normal human beings. One of which being rambling. We're very. There's something about being bad with speaking and communication in general that somehow is kind of like just a shared trait, I want to say. Like, you know, I wouldn't expect a writer to be bad at talking, but if an artist is just not very good at it, it's just something that it kind of makes sense. It's just a flaw that I don't know, I definitely have, and any artist that I personally relate to is still at least an aspect of their personality. We're very, very good at miscommunication. It's like one of our talents. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I already might have mentioned that last stream. Who knows? But yeah, I I am in real life I want to say, what is she? 17? I think she's 17 or 16. Still not legal. But you can hear my key presses. I think my mic is just dying. I'm going to be getting a new mic hopefully in the next year, but you get older, a year doesn't sound like that much time actually. Um, I should be I'm going to be working to get more better recording equipment, that's for damn sure, because if I'm going to take streaming seriously, I want to have things that are actually going to improve the quality of it. All of my objects, capitalism, um, but no, like I'm gonna try to get a better microphone so that way you can better hear me. Oh shit. Because I think my mic is just dying. Like this microphone, this Turtle Beach has gone through a lot. Let's recount some memories, some good old times just on this stream alone. Like the time when I broke it on stream, or it constantly wanting to drop or just change volume at random times. That's always fun. People will be like, Isaac, we can barely hear you. Okay, Isaac, shut up. We hear you too much. Yeah. I think it does help that I'm not playing music, so that way you only have one audio source to balance. Which, I am a little sad, but at the same time I'm like, yeah. I mean, I like sharing music and all, I really do, but it was kind of distracting. I wouldn't be talking more if I didn't want to be at least a little heard, so yeah. I don't want to mask my voice. I don't think I have a horrible voice either. I've been compared to Morgan Freeman, apparently. But, and it's also funny, I'm glad that you, it's really, really funny when I think about it, especially because I relate to Rin, that you mentioned that I have, like, very good English. I have horrible English, by the way. Some people can't believe how bad I am at the English language, given that I'm a native speaker of ye old English. And, like, that's part of my humor. That's, like, part of my sense of humor is just how bad I am with English. And how bad I am with not talking. I'm good at talking, clearly. I wouldn't be doing this if I was bad at talking. I'm bad at communicating. I'm bad oh, probably. My chair is also a fun time. I am sorry. It happens. I have a bad habit of doing that. I rock back and forth a lot when I draw on accident. It's kind of a habit. It's a bad habit. Well, like, I understand that I am a very clear and charismatic person, but my actual grasp of the English language surprises people. I am really bad at it. The best way to summarize my vernacular is I have my way with words. I'll just put it that way. And I don't care. It's part of what it is humorous. I find my ability to just speak nonsense sometimes just in and of itself a beauty. I am glad that I am this way because holy fuck. Nobody would be able to say half the shit that I do and be either serious or as plain-faced as I am. That being said, like, sometimes even I realize when I say it, and I'm just like, brain, why you gotta do this to me? Why you gotta make me say these things? I don't want to say this. It's stupid, and I know it. But I don't know how to say it any other way. Uh, but I mean, like, that's just a part of my character, and I've accepted that in a lot of ways to the point that, like, fuck, man, I enjoy it. It's funny. It's fucking funny. Like, it's funny how horrible I can make things sound too, like that. Like, I have my way with words. Like, it's the way that I can think to phrase that. Okay, and it is really kind of funny just how plainly my brain will just take things like that and be like, dyslexia, go, dyslexia power, activate. So, because I'm dyslexic. That's part of the reason why my brain uses words the way it does, or why, like, it's never a matter of me. It's never a matter of me, like, not knowing or being, like, shy. I don't really stutter. I don't really stammer. I'm not incapable of talking clearly. I'm incapable of communicating. It's the ironic opposite. Because people would be like, I'm really shy. I don't really like talking or very. No, I'm confident in everything I say. Just everything I say is usually nonsense, and I don't mean it to be. So, and it's salad talk, but it's not crazy talk. I promise. It's just me not necessarily knowing the right words to use is usually the problem. So, yeah, Fuzzy, don't take English classes from me. I'm not. I mean, I can read that. That's the thing, is, like, people think that is what dyslexia is. That's a part of it. Like, I've misspelled my name. I've misspelled my name today. I misspelled my name today. But it's usually from a confusion of letters. For me, it's not so much that I confuse two different letters, it's I confuse sounds, or I confuse where letters go. Or like, for example, with that, like, I might be writing something out. It's more of a writing thing than it is a reading thing for me, or a translation thing. I have a really bad habit of just straight up forgetting words or not finishing sentences correctly. My biggest one is, like, leaving out pronouns to the point of, like, I'll just be like, I'm trying to think of a good example, especially one that I do at work a lot, which is really alarming to me because, like, I work with customers. So, one thing I would do when I was working that I stopped doing because I realized I was doing it, was when I made an order, I would say, I would be like, okay, I made this order, your smoothie. That's all I would say. I'd go, your smoothie, or when it was really bad, I would say the name of the smoothie. I wouldn't just say your smoothie. I would go, there are a couple of smoothies on the list that the names are more like descriptions, but they're really, like, they're really funny descriptions. So I wouldn't make a complete sentence. I would just go, we have a smoothie called the Mango Me Crazy. I would just go, your name, or just your Mango Me Crazy. That's it. That's all I would say. I would just be like, that was a sentence. Or you're feeling peachy. That was a good one. That we have a smoothie called the Feeling Peachy, and I would just say, you're feeling peachy. And I would think for a second. I was like, ugh, that sounds fucking weird. Why did I say that? Ugh. So, like, I mean, I don't know. I've always jumbled up words and sentences, and, like, where words need to go in sentences, where I'll want to say one thing, but I'll say everything completely different out of order. So, and it will sound like something completely different. So, I'm borderline retarded. I'm like the most tame of retardation. I'm really bad with words. I'm the most functional retard you'll ever meet. See, stuff like that. Like, fuck, man, you can't say that. But I'm serious. Like, that's not what I mean, but that's just how my brain wants to use the words. So, yeah, like, I mean, I used to. Well, secrets of Isaac's mental disabilities. I think it did. Yeah, it took me quite a while to actually learn how to read and count and do things like that. Like, I can do it now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, also it's fine. I mean, half of this is the commentary. So, I enjoy it. Dude, I enjoy this. Half of it is because this is mainly drawing practice and like it. This isn't about the product. This isn't about the final thing that I'm making. This is about me, dicking around, drawing something and talking about whatever comes to my mind, whatever I feel like, and whatever's on my mind. So, yeah. And I mean, I'm glad. dude, 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 I'm gonna post there and I'm gonna ask them. I'm gonna highlight this part and be like, hey, you can't, I am a perfect admin for your page. Like, I am the embodiment of functional retardation, man. Come on. Now counting binary, one, no, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. Make me stop. I think I got... How far did I get? I think I did okay. I did alright. I don't know. I know binary to a point. I know how to calculate binary. That's all that fucking matters. I can't even count in regular numbers. I got 0 fingers because I don't have arms. See, that's why. It's hard to count when you don't have fingers. That's my excuse. Like I took I don't. That's also like one of those me counting binary. I'm like I only know how to do that because of the things that I've experienced. But it's like it's not even a talent at that point. It's just like I took a class. We did binary. I know the very basics. Yeah. Did I fuck up after? Probably. Like that's kind of the bridging point because like I think it's 10, 11. I want to say it's 100 and then 101 because it counts up. So, but like that's the thing is functional retardation aside, like I've learned my methods to be able to memorize, like remember how to do stuff like that. So, like you don't have to be constricted by personal limitations. You really don't. I mean, and at the same time, it doesn't make you special that you've overcome your limitations. If anything, it's made you a functioning human being, and that's a good thing. So, like, anyone can learn how to count binary if you want to learn how to count binary. Like, yeah, so Well, I did okay. Yeah, I got 100. Yeah, after that, it would be a oh. So after 10, it would be it'd be 1011, 1000, 1011, 1100, 1101, 1111, and so on and so forth until you reach whatever you want. See, I know something. I might do this. I'll probably, by the way, the time frame, I will probably only stream for another hour-ish, 45-ish minutes, just because I'm getting hungry. My stomach's a growling. I'm a hunger. I am a starve. I require the food to eat. I need to fix this. But yeah, I I mean, and if I'm going to, like, I know one thing for certain. Looking at wanting to make that video game, I mean, part of the learning experience there will be understanding programming, and I think that's going to be the biggest challenge with this is like not necessarily knowing how to, because like I'm not saying I'll never write code or like I'm too good because I'm the artist. I just do all the visual stuff, so I don't need to know how to code because half of being able to make this game is going to be understanding how to take the images or designs that I want and get them to run. So I do understand that. But like I also do kind of understand that at the end of the day, I definitely will have to just learn how to work with a programmer, a great programmer, to be able to actually accomplish the visual designs I want to see done and get them well implemented. And I mean, like, fucking, shameless, humble brag out there for Sean Tommy. You did niggas knees. You got all them fancy ass programming skills, man. Honestly, like when we started working on this, unfortunately he couldn't get Unreal to work, and I was starting to draw, and he was like, "Yeah, no, you're doing good." I was like, "Thanks." And then we finally figured out how to resolve it, and he could start working. And within like the first day, he was like, "I've already got a working mechanism that is maybe alpha build at best, but it actually works." And I'm just like, "Man, you trust me." In your craft as well, you're a fucking wizard. Because I looked at Unreal and was like, I don't even know how to make a character walk. I don't know how to do anything in this thing. So, well, and I understand that like the design part is also its own beast. Like not everyone can do that, and that's where I bring my talent in, and I appreciate it. But like it really is humbling when from the outside in it's like I know I need to be able to make assets that can actually work. You can't just make an asset and be like, now make it work in the game for me. No, like half of the design is knowing how to make that design function function inside, and premeditatively creating an asset that's going to work. Like, and that's where I understand half the programming comes from that. So, making things is hard and takes effort and work. Drop out of school, drop out of college, And that's one thing I don't think college teaches well enough. Oh, it's going to be 2D because we are at least 2D for me is a restrictive enough environment that we can at least even start grasping what it takes to make a game. Because we do want to move up to we want to move up to 3D. We do want to move into 3D modeling. I want to move into 3D modeling because I know I can do it. I know I can do it. I just don't have the actual expertise. But I do know I can do it. It'll just take a lot of practice. And that, because there are games that we want to make that have to be 3D. Like, I want to make that robot game, and that robot game is I want it to be a first-person shooter. That's just what I want. And I know everything of like how I maybe want it to look. I know how the mechanisms themselves are going to interact, but I don't know how to necessarily make those mechanisms. And at least a 2D game will get us started on how to make those basic mechanisms and work inside an engine. That's the most important part. Because you're using this as a learning experience on how to work inside of an engine, namely Unreal. So, yeah, like, it's gonna be hard as fucking balls. But I think that's the thing that really was eye-opening when I first started this, and why I'm now like, hey, I need to get out of my job, because we can do it. We can do it, but we need to be able to dedicate that time to actually create those things. And like, we both want to see that dedication, and we both want to see us continue creating things, like, because we both see what we can do to contribute to this project, and we honestly do want to see where we can take it. And it's not about the money. We honestly probably won't even sell this first game. We have both, like, I brought it up. I was like, we could sell it maybe, but honestly, we both agree that the better tactic is to see if we can make something at all and just not even worry about making it sellable, because we want to even be able to make something. And I think that's important whenever you're learning how to do anything, is you should want to be confident that you can make anything at all before you attempt to try to make something that is going to be, like, competitive, I guess. Because, like, the thing that people think that you need to be able to do right off the bat is be able to make things that are going to catch people's attention, or be able to immediately start making back all that effort that you put into it. When in reality, you should just be allowed to feel like you can just make something for the sake of making it. Like, you can do whatever you want, and it can be as horrible as it is, but it's still something you accomplished. It's your beautiful shit. It's your beautiful poop that you made, and you should be feel proud of that. You should be able to feel like you can make those kinds of choices without the pressure of needing to make the money back. I believe so. It's around, I want to say, $100-ish. But that's the thing, is, like, I don't even want this greenlit, because it'll put an expectation out to, like, unless this grows into something bigger, which we both agree, like, unless this is, like, something like, dude, we might have something actually really special here that we both want to try to take more seriously and polish. But right now, we just want to see if we can start making it. So, and I mean, if you follow my Facebook page, that's what those GIFs were. Like, and they're not indicative of final work, of course, at all. They're not. They're the goal with this project is, can we make assets and can we apply them, and then can we actually make a functioning game out of that? That's really all it boils down to. Because one of the big problems that we've run into the past is, like, we have all these grandiose, great ideas, but we can't actually figure out how to make the assets for them to start working and getting our feet wet in experimenting with different aspects of it. And that's something that, like, sure, concept art is great and all, but, like, there needs to be, especially early on, the way that I look at anything that I'm going to make things for, you need to be able to early on be able to make some sort of usable product, or not usable product, but usable implement, so that way your designers of the game can be playing with something while you're trying to finalize your designs. Like, you can't, because one thing we ran into early on is, unfortunately, like, I was asked, we've tried to start a project before, and we'll try to go back to that one at some point. We want to, but we've kind of put it on hold. But one thing that I was struggling with as an artist was just, I would, like, make a design, an early concept design, but I wasn't, like, really instructed on how to implement that design. Instead, I was told, okay, that's pretty cool, now try a different design. And it should be, you know, maybe your first design doesn't need to be the perfect or the final product, but you need to have something that you can start messing with as early as possible, I think, is important. And that's definitely what happened here, is those animations are really basic. And they're meant to be that way. They're meant to be just me even attempting to try to make animations. Those are my first attempts. And if those are my first attempts, honestly, I feel confident to say that I can make better animations. And improve them. Because, like, my programmer, he was like, yeah, no, I was not, those are much higher quality than even what I was expecting to be working with in the early, like, parts of the project. So, like, it's the feeling of being able to accomplish it is definitely there. Like, that we both do actually have kind of the skills. We just need to start applying them. So, it's kind of exciting, you know? I mean, probably just my Facebook page. That's the thing, is, like, again, at best, it's a publicity stunt. It's just to get our names out there and start showing what we can work on. I'm going to look in the next couple of years. I want to say by next year at the soonest, but nothing happens that fast these days. I feel like my life is much slower than that. I want to move out to Kansas City, try to get in contact with the Kansas Art Institute, which is fantastic, by the way. Kansas City is fantastic for art. I grew up in Kansas City, grew up in Kansas, and, like, I think that if I'm going to take art anywhere, it's going to be going into the Art Institute. Hopefully. That's the thing that makes me nervous, is, like, I don't want to be taking courses. I want to be using the Art Institute to get me contacts, is what I really want. It's not going there to learn more about art. It's there to be, if anything, trying to get recognition that I'm creating things, not learning about art. It'd be using the Art Institute what I think a college should be used for, which is kind of making the connections to be able to do things that you want. So, but yeah, I want to try to do that and then branch that off into more products and more projects. Like, I want to practice more of my animation and more of my design side. And after I'm done with this, I want to work with another one of my friends uh, who is a writer, but also actually does also illustrate. James surprisingly is a great artist. Like, I've seen his drawings and they're amazing. Uh, and I might see if we can get together and maybe do an animation sometime. I want to get with maybe him and Arthur and see if we can't do an original animation at some point, uh, where we write an animation maybe and focus more on my design side to implement into more complex mediums and not just be still art. So to kind of help build up the expertise and skill set I would want and need to be able to make better designed games. So visually and aesthetically is the goal there. And that's the thing, is like, a lot of this footwork is going to have to be done on my side. I'm going to stay active on Facebook, on the circles of the internet where I know people see me, and I'm going to just keep you guys up to date. That's what it's going to come down to. Nobody's going to really publicize me better than me at this point. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I enjoy these Twitch streams for one. Like, I enjoy talking about this stuff, and I enjoy sharing it. So I'm going to keep doing it. And you guys will probably have a pretty... The way that I'm treating the streams is kind of like a time for me to... Not so much a vent. You guys aren't... I'm not going to... Well, it's venting, but not being upset. It's the other kind of venting. But, you know, it'll be able to... How Link is doing time. Get personal with Link as he draw, or play a bad video game, or be a bad at video game. So, Twitch, I'm not going to stop making videos. That is definitely always going to be a hobby. I'm never going to monetize YouTube, I don't think. I personally don't see my content branching into that way. I do have like a couple of starts of videos for like Let's Plays and stuff. I'll try to continue and finish them, but you know, that's not where I want to dedicate my time. So mainly that's just a posting page and nothing more. So don't worry about that. YouTube is not where I'm interested in doing literally anything. But yeah, and like, for audio, we're either gonna sample off of the Unreal Market, or like, if we aren't planning on selling it, we might just have to be like, we need audio. This is not gonna be sellable. We'll use other stuff. Because, like, no, I know that, and, like, trust me, for the game we're going for, audio is going to be really important. Like, we're doing a survival horror, and we're doing atmosphere. Sound is important for atmosphere. I definitely know that. Though, we could also communicate, or, like, be like, hey, we're finally at the part where we want to start taking our audio design into account. Who are people that we know who know anything about audio design? I know some things about audio design. I know things about it. I just don't know how to do it. I don't know how to accomplish it. I just know what I want from it. So, yeah, like, I don't know. That definitely will be a trick. That will be a challenge. It's all full of challenges. It'll all take time to figure out. Who texts me? Who informs me? Oh no, I'm leaving soon. Probably in the next half hour. But, so yeah, I'll go ahead, you know, I'll finish out. I'm listening to an album right now. I'll finish out the album, and then I'll probably call it good for today. You know what? I kind of like this. I'm saving this. I'm not touching. I'm not going to touch this specific drawing until I start streaming. Like, I'm not going to draw on my own time. I'm not going to draw on this picture on my own time. I'm going to draw on my own time, of course. But I will. This will be, you know, our little development. It'll form over time. You guys will get to see it. You'll never miss a step. That's what I'm going to do. You're never going to miss a part of this picture. I promise. So, you're going to get to see it made from the ground up. And I think that'll just be something I'm gonna do. If I ever run out of ideas, I know I can ask you guys, what bullshit do you want me to draw? You can anything. I'll say it this way, most anything will go. Don't get me banned. Like, I'm supposedly still allowed to do things like nudity and stuff, from my understanding, but I'm not gonna fucking drop porn, so sorry guys. You can fap off to it later whether or not that's your choice, but I'm not going to straight up explicitly drop porn. I'm sorry. That's for me and me alone. So, I'll still post the soapbox man hammer, though. There, Fuzzy, there's that dyslexia right there. I was trying to say soapbox man hammer. But, you know, I'll go ahead, finish this up. I think I've really cleaned it up from last time. I'll also post I'll post every single step every single time I finish a stream. So that way you see from the last stream to this stream to whatever the next stream is. You'll actually see what has changed between each stream. I think that'll be interesting. Well, I'll look into it. If you can do, the general aesthetic that I'm kind of, I know it'll also keep it simple, because I know the general philosophy that I'm going in with this game is we're not making a Super NES game. However, keeping it that kind of level of quality is what I want to go for, simply because it will just make it easier to make assets for, honestly, without sacrificing too much aesthetic. That's why that picture's in. That's why that animation is pixel. It's not super 16-bit, but it's also not super high fidelity art, because it's easier to animate a lower quality image. Animation is not about making high quality images. Animation is about making images that are easy to manipulate. So, that being said, sure, Uncle, we'll see. I'll talk to Shan about it. But yeah, no, I'd be happy to hear anything. If you have a SoundCloud or anything, go ahead and post it to. Go ahead and message me on Facebook or something. So. But yeah. And I feel like this session went much better than last time. I feel like last time I actually wasn't actually in a very good mood. One thing that I've noticed, and it really frustrates me, but I'm not going to let it keep me from drawing at all. Don't get me wrong, but my mood can really, really affect my drawing. and quality of drawing, it really can just be the difference between me being able to accomplish anything and literally not be able to do anything at all. It it is rather astounding. That's just part of who I am, I guess, but meh. I recognize it, and I'm not going to keep it from doing things that I want to do. Like draw Rin, or literally anyone from Shoujo, I guess. I can never be in too bad of a mood to draw Rin, apparently, and literally no one else. But, yeah. Oh, too much. Oh, too far. Nah. So, moral of the story. Don't become an artist, and don't listen to Andor's lies. Yeah.